Well, greetings and thanks for joining us for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 141. We thought we were going to do 5 episodes and we just keep going. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out past episodes. This also is a podcast, so you also have an opportunity to check in with Lightbulb Moments, the podcast. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. And what is a lightbulb moment? Well, it's a moment of sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And having a light bulb moment is great, but what's greater is to take a light bulb moment and do something with it. And remember, you can't start a fire without a spark, and that spark comes from the moment. But truly, this forum is taking the spark and doing something with it. And today's guest, who we'll get to in a few minutes, is a perfect example of a light bulb moment and how that vision created a massive wave, a new company, a culture. And so I'm super excited to invite Ronan to the conversation in a few minutes. At Qnity, we're here to take you from what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a simpler and sure path towards prosperity, whatever that means to you. And remember, to prosper, manage your ATM, the 3 currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you. Submit a light bulb moment for your own. If you have an idea of a guest, or if you'd like to be a guest, let us know. This truly is about a conversation, and we want you to be part of the conversation. Very shortly here, we'll get to Ronan. I already mentioned he's going to be my guest today, and several exciting things to discuss with Ronan. Check out some recent episodes. Last week, I was on with Inez Gray of Habitude. You got to listen to this episode. What she has done in the last couple years is a perfect example of an owner that wanted to let go. And she went through a massive process of simplifying her business, of massive elimination. She's a big fan of essentialism, but it was really cool to see how that actually is applied from a very pragmatic basis, to the point where Inez, who is all in her business, but just because she's all in her business doesn't mean she needs to be in her business all the time. And one of the things that I really admire about Inez is she figured out how to take a week off a month for the last 2 years. That's at least 12 weeks off a year. And how she went about doing that. And so it's a great episode. Leon Alexander was a recent episode, gave us some great trends as it relates to design. Daniel Johnson and Hannah Crack of the Green Beauty community was awesome. John DeJulius, who I just had an opportunity to spend time with over this past weekend, is always a great guest and a great friend. Melissa Hubiak, excuse me, who's an MD, and she's the owner of a medical spa. Great episode. All these episodes are great. Ronan's is going to be on the list very soon here. Kelly Eilers, Roderick Samuels, and then one of the things that I like to talk about on most episodes here is current and future generation of ownership and leaders, and sometimes that relates with succession planning. Also, check out Erin's Money O2 podcast. She is interviewing some amazing people. I don't even know how she finds some of these guests, but it's quite interesting and inspiring, some of the people that she is connecting with. So check those episodes out. We got some upcoming dates. In February, we have a trilogy of events coming up very soon in Austin, Texas, which has become our southern base. We have an execution workshop, a growth workshop, which is a new launch of the growth workshop, by the way. And it is awesome. It is our legacy program that's been completely refreshed. It's been shortened. It adds a compensation calculator element to it. So this is the first time the new growth workshop will be offered. Money SBO is actually not in Austin. We're starting a virtual program in February. And then I will be doing a 1-day succession masterclass in February in Austin also. The Phil is coming up May 19th through 21st. So tickets are available. Sign up. It's going to be a fantastic year this year. Also, we've talked a lot about curated peer groups and our Circle program. So that is something to check out on our website if you feel like you want to be part of a group of other professionals like yourself. It's a mastermind type group limited to usually 10 people. So that's curated peer group. And we're assembling the groups right now. And really it's addressing three common challenges, or at least two. One is it can be a little lonely at the top. So to have a structured way to connect with other owners and leaders like yourself. Number two is who you hang with is really important. 99% of your success, according to Harvard, a recent study by a professor at Harvard, said comes from your peer group. So who you hang with is very important, so be very intentional. And I think the third reason why we're so excited about this is it gives you an opportunity to stay very connected outside your business with others. My light bulb moment this week, so I was down in New Orleans for serious business, and as usual, it was a fantastic event. Jared Sanders and Candace Gliotto did a reluctant CFO segment, which was great. They prepared for it. It was a new program, and you could just see a lot of light bulb moments going on in those sitting in the room. And then Aaron did a more of a longer breakout, like a 3-hour breakout on financial wellness. So if you were at Serious Business but weren't able to attend these workshops, I think you can listen to the recording. So check those out. So find a group of people who challenge and inspire you and spend a lot of time with them. I'm going to come back to this quote in just a second here. But I had some other light bulb moments while in New Orleans. And, you know, there were some really great speakers. There was a speaker, Will Guldera. Hope I pronounced his name right. He was the kickoff, and he really was awesome in terms of kicking this program off, and talked about things like the importance of daily huddles. And a big crux of what he talked about was breaking down all the touch points with clients, customers, patients, et cetera, and really just forcing yourself to identify and take a fresh look at all of the touch points in a customer experience. And they thought maybe there was 10 or maybe 15 touch points, and ultimately it ended up being over 100 touch points, and really breaking those touch points down into micro steps allowed them to create some completely unique experiences that led them to be the #1 restaurant in the world. So that was a very cool session. The other thing that I'll get to is, you know, in sitting in Aaron's breakout, and then also in Jarrett and Candace's breakout, I met two individuals that really kind of didn't surprise me, but I was sitting next to a woman just completely randomly, and realized shortly into the conversation that she had just purchased a salon from someone that I had helped several years ago get to be in the position of selling the salon. And I remember the owner talking about this woman, and I'm sitting next to her, and there she is, a new owner. So it's really cool to see the next generation of salon owners emerge. And I don't always get to see the end result of that. So that was in Aaron's workshop. Woman's name is Amber. It was Tulip Salon in Virginia. And she bought the salon from Ralph and Priscilla Freed. Then in Jarrett and Candace's workshop, we had a breakout, and there's a woman that volunteered to do an activity, and she said hello to myself, and usually I recognize and remember it. I didn't remember her because I only met her once, but she was part of a trilogy of stylists that had also bought a salon from someone that I had worked with a few years ago. And I'm so happy and proud of both of these companies and the owners, and then the current and the past and current owners, to see how that worked it out and how hungry these professionals are sitting in the room to really perfect their career for them and their team. So, and then the final thing that really related was sort of succession planning. I went to a session by Mark Wickman. I hope I got Mark's last name on succession planning. And he's got a very narrow niche, and it is family transition plans. And I get involved in family transition plans, or we cover it in our education, but a lot of ours is key employee related. It was super interesting to see how the family dynamic affects succession plan and how few businesses transition into the next generation. So those are just a few of my light bulb moments from serious business, as well as just every time you get around a community of people, whether it was serious business in New Orleans, or the Phorest Summit in Dublin, it can change your life because you find people who challenge and inspire you, which is a great segue over to our guest, Ronan. Ronan, good morning. How are you? I'm sorry, is it good evening or is it good afternoon for you? We got to get you off mute. There we go.
Yeah, it's about 4 p.m. here, Tom. Good to see you. You're just back from serious business.
I'm just back from serious business and I saw some of your colleagues. So, well, thanks for
Yeah.
joining us again here, Ronan. I love having you on as a guest. And, you
You
know,
too.
so Ronan, there's a few threads I want to cover with you, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, and so I had a very short main stage presentation at the Forest Salon Summit, which
Yeah.
just quick shout out to you and your team. It
Yeah.
was fantastic. The event, everybody felt special. The content was great. The speakers, the activities. Shout out to you and your team. It's not an easy feat to pull that off. With your team and everything, you had over 600 people. So shout out to you. Congratulations.
But thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming all the way over as well. So it's not a short flight for you, so it was great.
If I had a few more minutes main stage, what I was going to talk about was your light bulb moment. And I want to start with that. So there's a few threads I want to cover with you. First of all, it's your light bulb moment behind the founding of Forest. I also want to talk to you a little bit about your company, your culture, et cetera, and some of the unique things we do, and then get to some trends that you see in the industry, for
Wait,
example.
yeah, I on that. So sorry to cut you off on that, Tom. Yeah, I've actually, because when I was coming on here, I was thinking, ooh, because I have my little light bulb, as you know, on my desk, reminding me every day about that. But yeah, we had a real big light bulb moment recently, like just before the holidays, so probably November time. And I'd love to talk to you about that because it was a light bulb moment about the salon business.
All right.
And yeah,
So
hopefully
let's
we
get
can chat
after
about
it.
that. Yeah.
I'll add that to my list. So first of all, you know, um, you, when someone starts a business or, current businesses, whether they're tech businesses, whatever, it's so important to reconnect to why the business was created at the beginning and how it started. And one of the things that I love is that we really can trace down your light bulb moment to founding this company, which essentially was what, back in 2023. And I know you tell this story all the time, but I think it's so inspiring and so relevant to hear a CEO and visionary go back to the light bulb moment and sort of its humble beginnings. So you worked at a front
Mm.
desk. So let's just spend a
Yeah.
few minutes on the light bulb moment behind founding Forest and why you did it.
So, well, first of all, yeah, like, so thanks for asking. I love telling this story. Yeah, so I love being asked to tell it again. But yeah, like like Forrest, you know, there was an actual light bulb moment. Like I actually felt the hairs on the back of my neck and effectively saw a light bulb. So, and it goes back, like Forrest was born on the shop floor, is what we say. It was born in a salon. I was working as a receptionist in a very busy, it's 21 years ago now, in a very busy salon in Dublin. It was a hair and beauty salon. So like it was like what you would call more like a spa in the US. It was like a hair area and they did beauty services and facials and things like that as well. And I was working reception and I fell in love with the industry. Like a lot of things happened. I fell in love with the industry because as everybody listening to this call, you know, like it's hard to explain this industry if you've never been in it. People get hooked in it and then they never leave, and it's very hard to explain that to anyone who doesn't understand. And it's like that was part of a light bulb moment for me, is when I was working at the desk the very first day. I just thought it was going to be a job. It was just another job. I'd worked in a fast food restaurant serving pizza, and I just thought it was going to be another job behind the desk, and it wasn't. It was totally different experience, because customers were just so looking forward to coming in that they brought in this energy into the building, and all the stylists and the estheticians also had this energy as well, and everyone was feeding off it, and the day just went past like that. And anyone who's done that job or has worked, like, understands what I mean when I say that. But you have to actually be there to understand that it's different to any other retail business, let's say, even though it is a retail, at the end of the day, it's still on the high street often, or wherever it is, it's still a retail business. But it has this feeling and this emotion that is captured between clients and the staff. So that was just a light bulb moment why I fell in love with the industry. But the light bulb moment for Phorest came because the salon that I worked in had lots of no-shows. And we basically, in a nutshell, a friend of mine was a programmer, and he wrote a little piece of software that could send appointment reminders by SMS. And this had never been done before. It was 21 years ago. And actually, it was a good few years before it was even done in the US. I think it was like probably 5 or 6 years till somebody did it in the US. And we sent these out, and she was getting maybe 2 or 3 no-shows a day in total. So like it was a big problem. She was a busy premises. And we sent out these point reminders, and she cut down on no-shows by like 70% within about a month. And the reason, like one of the reasons, was nobody ever got text messages or SMS in those days. Like, so it was just like, oh my God, the salon has texted me. I gotta turn up, So they're not probably quite as effective now as they were then, but we just hit the sweet spot at the right moment, just as the technology came available, and I happened to be working in a salon. So that was I realized at that point, like, wow, we're onto something. And I had that, I got that feeling in the back of my neck when the hairs went up. It's happened to me maybe 4 or 5 times in my whole life. And I'm sure you're the same, Tom, when you just know, oh my God, there's something here, we're onto something. And it's unexpected, you know what I mean? So that was how the initial phase of Phorest got started. Obviously, it took another probably 6 months before I left that job to go and actually do Phorest full time. And there's a lot, there's a 20-year story behind building up the company and building the team, and everything that we do today didn't happen overnight. As anything worthwhile takes time, as everyone knows here who's running a salon, the effort that goes into getting the business started and then building it and keeping it at a level all the time, right? So but yeah, it's that little moment though is always going to be in my mind.
Well, and so let's go ahead, and I might come back to this, but now you got me super curious and about your recent light bulb moments. I think you said it was in November that you had it.
Yeah, so anyone who, I don't know if we have any Phorest customers on the call here, but the one of the kind of USPs about Phorest is it's really a marketing system. It's a salon software, does appointments and all the things that you normally do, but it's really a marketing system. And that it started with text messages for reminders, and then we added the salon software later, so it started with that. And we did shortly after that, about 3 or 4 months after that, we did our first marketing campaigns by SMS. Like, we did the first one ever in the world for a salon, and it worked for the same salon, and it worked amazingly well. So it was always about these marketing ideas. And so I just want to explain that a little bit, because it'll explain the light bulb moment. But so over the years we've done, I see, oh yeah, I see a very old Phorest client there. So yeah, in the comments. But we do, like, email marketing, online reputation, branded app, all lots of different loyalty program, and all these different marketing tools that help grow the salon business. But we were always just going, like, you have to do this, and you get business in. And it wasn't actually me who came up with this, but Paddy Monaghan, who you know, Tom, who's our chief product officer. We were chatting one day and he just goes like, why we're always like, whenever we tell people like need to do marketing campaigns, we always just tell them how much business that they got from a campaign. So like if I send out a text message to 1,000 people, you got 20 bookings and that was, $1,000, let's say, something like that. And that's how we always report everything in marketing. But if you get a new client in the door, that client isn't just worth the $100 or $200 that they spent that day. How long do they stay with you? So basically, this idea of what's their lifetime value or LTV, and it has been. So I don't know if there's anyone here out of interest. I don't know if anyone know what LT. Before I've just said it there, did anyone know what LTV meant? In the comments, out of interest.
Yeah, we'll see. I
See
have
if
heard the
anyone.
term
Yeah.
before, but
So it's great. It's great that a few people are saying yes. So like the thing about LTV is that what that means is we're able to, because we capture all the customer information. We know if somebody, how long they stay on average. We know for any salon that's using Phorest, for as long as they're using it like over a year or two, we can tell them, yeah, your average customer stays 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever it is, right? And so therefore we can calculate, when you get a new client, we can calculate the likelihood of that person staying a certain amount of time. So some of them might never come back, but then someone else will stay for 10 years, right? So you get an average. And that's the average value of that customer, right? And if you know that, then it makes doing marketing like so much more effective, like almost like 1,000,000% more effective, because it's not just, oh, I spent 500 quid or $500 and I got 1,000 back. It's like I spent $500 and I got 11 clients who are probably going to spend $98,000 with me,
yeah,
or
wow.
whatever it is, right? And so that suddenly then it's like, okay, well then I should be doing more of that. Or sometimes you do something and you go, well, I only got 2 clients. We did this thing, it was a load of work. I got 2 clients. But those 2 clients, based on your system, might be worth $20,000. So maybe that work was worth it. Maybe you should do that more often. And I see a lot. What we've started to realize is there's lots of people, and us included in our own business, we do things and we think that was so much hassle, and was it worth it? And now, when you actually understand, yes, it is worth it. You're like, oh well, you have a totally different perspective on it. And one of the ways we like to say is like you stop throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You know that phrase, like, because you do all this work and sometimes you don't know if it's valuable. And so this LTV thing has just changed everything in our business, because everything, how we're doing reporting for salons, it's also changed how we're looking at ourselves in our own business as well, like what a salon is worth to us too. So we're being educated around it too. But we can see, oh, this marketing tool is more effective than this one. We thought the other way around, but actually this one is actually much better for the salon long term. Like, we might do this marketing campaign here that gets a load of business today and then just there's no follow on from it. Whereas this other thing might just bring us 4 clients, but those 4 clients are really high quality clients that are going to stay for a long time. And to have that information at the fingertips is it's motivating us to want to build new tools to help increase this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I
I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
I love the call out on this, and I love the focus, and I think it's very timely for a lot of us as we are still early in the year and really, you know, getting our marketing hat on, and really, taking a strong look at where we spend our attention, time, and money. And I got to ask you this. So in some of this, the quest of really diving deeper into lifetime value and recognizing it and looking at your marketing return on investment, have you come up with any ballpark metrics what the lifetime value is for a Phorest customer in the US, or haven't you really gone there yet?
Like how much for us it's worth.
Well, how much,
Or
how,
for a typical salon,
a
like a
typical
typical.
salon, yeah. I mean, you find in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, an average time frame, then obviously the value is going to vary quite a bit
Yeah,
on price point.
like I'm I have seen that number, but I almost hesitant to say it because it varies so wildly from one place to another that I if I say it and somebody might hear that number and go, okay, think that that's almost their number. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a number like we've seen it. Some salons have it as high as like $28,000 um, on average. So that means they have people who are worth a lot more than that. All the way down to somebody who might have it like it might be $4,000. So the the spread is so large that it's like a unique number to you, and it has to. It's not about the amount of the number because if your average revenue, your LTV of a customer is $28,000, but you have the most expensive premises in Manhattan or something, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't necessarily mean your business is that you're winning just because you've got a really high LTV. It again depends on you. It depends on what you need and what you have. Do you know what I mean? So
Let's
it's
let
yeah,
let's look at the metric from a different angle here. Not the dollars, but the months or years.
yeah.
That's where maybe there's a little more parity, but I'm sure that's going to vary widely too. But have you found sort of a sweet spot for how long a client normally stays with the salon, taking away the actual dollar amount? But
Yeah, well, like it's 9 years
okay, nine
with the
years.
salons that use Forest, yeah. So
Okay,
which I think is amazing. That's the decade almost, right? Now that means you have loads of clients that stay for one visit, right? You might have
yeah.
tons,
This
and
the,
but you have a lot of clients that are spending more than 9 years,
yeah.
So I think when you're talking about the value of this business as a business, obviously you've been doing so much work around the reporting on wages and earnings and things like that, right, Tom? But um like, how many businesses can say that? Like, their average duration of a customer is 9 years. Like, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
that's a bit of a light bulb moment for me too, to hear that. And that's a long time. Um, clients are migratory and they
Mm.
do move around, but having a 9-year average, I mean that's um very
The power of this is as well. People will think that, oh, that mightn't be the case in my business, but the numbers, the reality that you experience kind of distorts the number because let's say I have like 20 people that come once, and then I have one person that stays 20
yeah,
visits. Um, in my mind, I just see all these different people that never came back again.
yeah.
But actually, that one person did the same as all 20. So it really influences the number much more. So you can, if you have a core group of customers that are really loyal to your business, um, they really influence that number a lot. But they actually influence the business too because they spend so much money as well, right? That one person has spent the same as those 20 people as well.
Hmm.
So it's very it goes to show the value. Like a good client isn't just a little bit better than a bad client. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
just need a group of those really good clients,
yeah,
and then almost anything else that happens in the salon isn't as important. So so you got to really nurture those people and look after them.
yeah.
But it's worth it. Mm.
I think that's a great light bulb moment. And I could see the relevance to all of us here. So let me switch over to let me switch over to still staying in the area of trends and marketing and some points of view from you and your company. You had two individuals. It was Rich and forgive me, someone else.
Ver, Verna, I'd say, was Rich and
Verna,
Verna. Yeah.
yes, and they did a best salons for attracting clients do the following three things. It was attracting dream clients, client obsession, and open to flexibility. Which
Mm.
of those three would you love to explore between those three things they covered? Attracting
So
dream clients, client obsession, or open to flexibility?
um, okay, so which would I like to just chat to you about, or
Yeah,
share more information on? Because
yeah,
I
share. I mean, to me, the one that jumped out to me on that is open to
mm,
flexibility. All right.
yeah, like that's the one that I immediately was like, I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah.
But the one I could probably share the most information on is something like attracting dream clients. Do you know what I mean? Because that kind of goes back to the LTV thing again, right? So, but yeah, like the flexibility thing is more top of mind. Yeah.
Let's go flexibility and then we'll see how we're doing with
Yeah.
time and possibly come back to the other one. I'm super curious to hear your thoughts on that.
So, so my just I've some random because you're just asking me here. I have some random thoughts that jump into my mind straight away. I mean, I've thoughts around a bunch of salons that I know that have gone Monday to Friday only in terms of appointments, and how well that's worked out. Not even though they some customers have been unhappy that they no longer do appointments on the weekend, they've been able to keep their very best people and attract really top people, and that's more than made up for that. And it's given them for a lot of them like more of a standard hour working week, which allows them to do more things with their family and stuff at the weekend. So things that's something that was I found very interesting. It's not for everyone, but it's certainly I've seen that out there. So and different things like that as well. Like just it seems clear to me that the top salon owners that I talk to are the ones that seem to be really enjoying doing business today. They've had to go on a journey. Like if they've been around a while, they've had to go on a journey when it comes to the flexibility of their staff. So a lot of them, they've been in the business more than 20 years. It wasn't like that 20 years ago. So they've um they've had to go through a journey, and a lot of them have had to break through some real challenges in their own mind. But once they break through that, suddenly there seems to be lots of opportunity. There was a salon I met from Florida actually at our summit, and sorry, I can't remember the exact name now, but they've been, I'd say they were in their late 60s, so they had run top salons in the UK, in South Africa, and now in Florida, and they have I think 35 seat chair salon, and it's doing really well, and it's really flexible. They basically have like 45. I think they have 45 stylists on the books, but they only have 35 chairs, and so they've had to invest a lot of time and money into scheduling. Like it used to be a lot easier. You just have people and they worked and the hours were there, and that they wouldn't have had to put so much effort into working around what the stylists want to do. So they've just made that decision to just go in on it, and now they have this thriving business where people are, they've so many people want to come work for them, right? So and they're loving it now that they've solved it. It was a problem, and they just had to solve it, you know what I mean? And that's another one that just, so they're the thoughts that spring to mind, Tom, when
Yeah,
you mention that topic, huh?
and is that flexibility? I want to go over to attracting dream clients, but just a quick question on
Mm,
flexibility. Okay. Yes, certainly flexibility, scheduling flexibility, number of hours worked is a huge motivator now, and it's
mm,
completely switched. And innovative salons have had to, or salons have really had to adapt around it. Really big
mm.
trend. Um, Real quick, I don't want to go too deep into this, but
Yeah.
are you seeing the same thing in the UK?
Oh,
Any
like the
okay,
UK is
with the trend towards
rapidly,
flexibility and
rapidly, rapidly going self-employed, like even more rapidly than the US. Like it felt like that there was that wave. There's been a couple of waves in the US, maybe late noughties, sort of 2008, 2012, and then again through COVID. There's been waves, and then it kind of there's obviously quite a big push now. There's a lot of people who are self-employed, whether they're booth or whatever, who are looking to get back into salons. We're hearing that a lot more. At the moment, we don't hear that in the UK. It's all like everybody, well, the salons are just breaking up and
that was
letting everyone go, and they're all becoming self-employed. So it's becoming that's huge. And it's all about flexibility. The old salons just they've been successful for 20, 30 years one way, and now they're struggling with the change. Whereas I think in my it's funny what like we only really launched in the US. I was probably we were first to sign up a customer here 2014 maybe. So like it's within the last 10 years. But if I look back to the kind of conversations we were having then to now, it's quite different. Like everybody understands it. People are like, there's a lot of people like that salon I just talked about who are like, okay, we just got to be flexible. They've made the leap mentally. It's almost a mental leap that they have to make. They've kind of made that, or if they haven't made it, they know they have to make it. So it's very different. So it's a much more positive. I find it a lot more positive environment than a few years ago because of that. Because this was almost like this dread that everyone had, and then now it's something that you can cope. There's a path forward basically to come out of it. Whereas in the UK, it's much more negative. Like they're in the like, oh, this is it, the end of the industry kind of thing. You know,
There's a lot of angst around it.
yeah.
You introduced me to Barry Stevens over there, who's very active in association. And I know I met him last year, but then saw him again this year, and it was a noticeably different conversation with him between the years. It's that rapid of a trend.
Yeah, and they're in the darkness of the tunnel. Like, do you know what I mean? It's going to be and there'll be casualties, right? So like there is always when there's something like this, there'll be a lot of casualties, people who just can't see a way out. So
all right,
yeah.
Let's go to attracting dream clients for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back to certain things with Phorest and its culture and leadership and all that. So a little bit of time on attracting dream clients. I know that's a big, passionate discussion or topic for you and all of Phorest.
Yeah, like, well, it's obviously we come from a marketing background, so it's all about, either retaining your customer, enabling you to sell more to that customer, so you're getting them to spend more through, upselling or buy more retail or whatever, all the different things that you can do, get them to come in more often, all those things. But what all those things do is they increase the lifetime value, right? So, everyone gets that, but what's interesting is obviously if they, and even we don't talk about retail for a second, like even if we just talk about service, like if somebody's coming and they're having their normal service, and then maybe they're having a hair treatment that they don't normally have, and you're adding that in, and then they're going to have that maybe not every time they come, but maybe every third time they come. But if their lifetime value is over 10 years, that's possibly another $15,000, $10,000 in lifetime value for that customer. And so what so the whole LTV, we were always about marketing and either turning a customer that isn't a dream client into one, so by upselling them or having them come more often, or attracting one of those people in. And the LTV has just like sort of put a little bit of a I don't know, like pumped it up or put a bit of engine or fire behind it, let's say, because you suddenly what we're trying to do now is like not just like who are your dream clients, but like what's the lifetime value of your dream clients. So like going into the system and finding out, okay, these are my 100 best clients, this is what they're now worth to me. Okay, so how many more of these would I want? You know what I mean? Like, do I want another 10 of these, 100 of these? And if I want 100 of these, this is what it's going to be worth to me. So how much can I invest in finding them? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I can go, right, if 100 top clients are worth a couple of million lifetime value, just those 100 customers to me, would I, obviously I have other costs, and you got to pay commissions, or you got to pay wages, you got to pay like rent and everything like that. So it's not like all that money you can spend, but let's just say you can spend 5% of that money getting those customers. 5% of $1 million is $50,000. So like you could potentially spend $50,000 to try and get 100 customers. Now, I'm not saying if those numbers sound wacky to you, they may be wacky in your business. You obviously have to look at your own business and work this out yourself. But let's just say, usually speaking, 5% of the customer, of the lifetime value of the customer is an okay number to spend. So if I can, like, if you were to just sit down, it kind of opens your mind. You can suddenly have a different conversation with yourself. You might be going, well, I can't afford to do this or that. But if you're like, okay, so that's how much those guys are worth to me. If I could spend $50,000, is there different things I could do that I haven't thought of? Because it's actually quite a lot of, it's a huge amount of money. Like, what could I could do lots of different things. I could send out presents to people. I could try it, I could drive around to meet them, or like there's lots of, we could have a party for all my good clients, and I might invite them all to ask a friend, and we'll throw a really great party somewhere. Like there's ideas that might come to you, and I always love that. When you're caught in a rut on something, and then you just look at it from a different direction, and it opens up your mind, and you see new solutions that were always there, but you didn't have the door open for them.
You know, one of my, I love this conversation, and I love there's a very much a marketing focus to it, which absolutely is the roots of the light bulb moment, around the founding of the business. And the uh, I will tell you, as a former salon owner myself, and someone that embraces technology like we all do. One of the biggest frustrations I have is the lack of adoption of existing features in a platform like Phorest. You know, and I remember being at a decision point, Ronan, as a salon owner. We, 8 locations, and we were considering changing and changing our platform. And spent some time looking. I thought, we're really using 5% of the features. How do you get people to better adopt what's already in the system? For example, your system. And does it frustrate you that there's all of these bells and whistles? I mean, your tech people are amazing, and yet it's like, I put myself in the shoes of a busy salon owner, and there's only so much you can do, but there's so many features that people don't take advantage of. Um, is that a pet peeve of yours?
Yeah, but like, first of all, Tom, if every customer we had used every feature we had, we would never ever lose a customer, because they'd be getting so much value out of Forest. Like, they just would never ever leave. Nobody. So we would love, like, just at a high level, it would be an absolute dream if everyone used everything. Then on a secondary level, you spend a lot of time, like I've spent a lot of the last 20 years just personally, but like there's people in Forest who do this every day. I don't do it all day anymore. I would have done years ago. Just coming up with ideas or improvements or things to help salons make money or save time or be more efficient or whatever. And you create something, you pour your heart and soul, and you create something. And obviously this industry is a creative industry. You thinking about it, building it, drawing it, designing it, getting it out there, telling everyone about it, and you pour your heart and soul into that, and then not everyone uses it, even though they definitely will get value out of it. Like, is it's not just a pet peeve. It's like the holy grail if we could
Well,
figure that out.
I'm going to give you an example that's not marketing at all. And, marketing, I think, is the low-hanging fruit. I mean, to really take advantage of all the marketing features for growth is an enormous opportunity. But here's another little one, and on very few people's radar. And no one even talks about it, but it's on the finance side, and that has to do with the QuickBooks integration.
Yeah, yeah,
And, how few people actually take advantage of a QuickBooks integration, which, from my experience, has a lot of really just positive benefits. It creates less errors. It's more efficient. It allows the team to spend time on more value-added stuff instead of making, random entries and what have you. That's a very minor example, but I never hear anybody talk about that feature. And
no,
if I were to guess the number of percentage of people that take advantage of that feature, I have to
yeah.
guess it's less than 3%.
Oh, it's probably 1%. Yeah,
Yeah. But
it's way too small. I think it's even less than 1%. It's
well,
Yeah, it would save so many salons so much time, because it's not just, it's QuickBooks, but it's also like Zero and a bunch of other services as well, so it's
so what's your
incredibly, yeah, incredibly frustrating.
so
Can you sort that? Can you help me with that, Tom?
I
What would you do?
well, I'll tell
You
you,
or me?
I'll tell you something else, is that what we have found in our research is that at least in the US, at least 95% of salons use QuickBooks.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. And then there's a small percentage NetSuite and other different things, and it might be a little bit different in the UK. It might be tipped over to NetSuite. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I talk about it. What we probably should do is just do a simple workshop on it.
Yeah.
We should just do a simple workshop on it because it's not just saving time, but it also prevents errors because there's less
Mm.
rekeying of information. So I'm looking at the time. We're going to have to wrap up pretty quick, and I feel like there's 10 other things I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
But just on this area of technology adoption
Mm.
and looking at a business like the business you mentioned in Florida, which, by the way, I think I know who you're talking about, and a lot on their plate, a lot of functions of the business to manage. Do you have like one tip to increase the technology adoption within a company, like hire someone, designate a certain time every week to learn new features?
Yeah.
What do you have, for a small business to better adopt existing technology?
Well, I don't think people should hire someone because I think like in this day and age, it is, hiring is tough. So you want to try and upskill who you have, right? So but I think there's most salons there's definitely at least one, if not two people in the salon that take more of an interest, let's say, in the technology than others, right? That are more naturally open to it. Like I'm sure when you think about your own business, everyone on the call here, they can think, oh yeah, that person or this person. Just like, when it comes to something like, when Instagram comes along, there's people who pick it up quicker than other people, right? Or whatever, back in the day when it's first on the scene, that kind of thing, right? So, and I think you should definitely, we really encourage you to empower those people. There's like whether you're using Phorest or whatever you're using, there's probably like training modules and all that kind of stuff available. Like I can only talk about Phorest specifically, but like we have a whole training academy. Like open that up to that person, show them where it is and let them do those training modules and then come back and talk to everybody in the salon about them. I think let's have a feature of the month or a feature of the
Yeah.
week. Yeah, feature of the week's probably a bit overkill, possibly, given that everything else is going on in the business, but a feature of the month and then have that person kind of own it. It gives you the chance to develop management skills or communication skills outside of just cutting hair in stylists and stuff like that. And they're always looking to try other things and try learn new things. So it can be great that way. So I think, yeah, I would. We notice that the salons that do that do tend to use the product more because they have more. It's not all on the owner or the manager. I think the owner and the manager can only do so much, and the more you get everyone involved, it's sort of like a exponential increase in what you can kind of use and learn and take advantage of in the product. And every single one of these features improves your business in some way, whether it's making money, saving time, like QuickBooks is a great example, cutting out mistakes and probably saving you money because of that. And then it's also like giving you yes, it's cutting out errors and saving you time just like that. So yeah, and it's also like really annoying time as well, right?
Yeah.
It's mundane stuff like moving numbers from here to a spreadsheet into a system. It's just there's no need to do that kind of work.
I'm,
So
yeah, I love the suggestion in terms of a feature of the month, a feature of the week, spreading it amongst the team, and the teacher learns the most. So someone learns the feature and teaches it back to other
exactly.
people. And I mean, calendar, we're a big believer in to execute. We believe in the importance of calendarization.
Mm.
I have the same thing in our business, Ronan. It's like we have all these technology platforms that are necessary to run a business like ours. And it's a personal pet peeve of mine that out of most of these platforms we use, whether it's a learning LMS system, whether it's a marketing system, and I've been trying to figure out that for our business and suggested that we do, Tech Thursdays, that every Thursday we
Yeah.
have, some tip so that, when you reach the end of the year, you got 50 new ideas on how to use the existing system by the in-house expert and kind of rotate amongst the team, have different people champion different technology platforms. So it's on my mind personally, which is part of the reason
Mm.
I ask you the question. So
Yeah, but we have something internally in our own company that we've always like even when we were a small business, we call it a canteen session. So we always used to we had a little canteen, you know, it was basically just a little kitchen that we, you know, when we were small, we used to all go to. Still call that now, even though it's a virtual Zoom.
Mhm.
But and once a week, somebody from the team shares something, and it can be anything, but it can often be like something they do in their job that makes things better. But it could be like something about the industry they found out. It could be about a customer. We sometimes might have a customer coming on talking about something. It could be anything, but like having that ritual where every week it sounds small. We're just on 3 o'clock on a Wednesday. That's what we're doing. And you just put that in the calendar and everyone gets used to it. And after a while it feels forced at the start. And then it actually just becomes like part of your customs. And once it becomes a custom in your business, it's like part of the furniture. And if it's a forcing function to come up with something each week. Do you know what I mean? So it forces
Yeah.
everyone to do that. It's a brilliant way of doing it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have to wrap up, but I'm dying to get into some of the areas with you. I'm going to kind of real rapid in the next like 3 minutes. You know, you throw this idea of the light bulb moment you had in November, and I wanted to get into that. There's some other stuff I wanted to get to, and I have to compliment you that, you know, I really, on a personal note, I've really enjoyed getting to know you and to get to know your leadership team. It's really a group, starting with you. It's a very, you have an amazing culture, and clearly you're very intentional about who you hire, how you treat people. A lot of that comes from you. And, you know, I personally admire you and your style because you're curious. You look at things, you know, from a positive perspective, and you're very present with people. And you know, I when I describe Ronan to people, I say he's pretty understated. You know, you kind of like to be a little bit behind the scenes, you know, and it's really fun to watch and see what you've created, as well as look at this leadership team and company, because you guys really are an amazing group of people to work with. And I don't say that during these light bulb sessions often. I feel that about a lot of companies, but I do want to congratulate you and your leadership team and say that I admire you, I respect you, and learn from you. I've actually shared some personal stuff with you as an advisor that I felt comfortable sharing with you, and it's been really fun to get to know you. So every time I see that you're going to be a guest on here, kind of lights me up. And I know the rest of the group always enjoys hearing from you. So I wanted to give you sort of a personal shout out there.
Thanks very much. Some really kind words, lovely words. So thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate it.
Let's give Ronan a virtual round of applause here. Give him a little shout out in the chat here. This is probably one of the longest sessions I've had in the last few months here. And but really good stuff, very good practical stuff. I mean, really, truly, the lifetime value of a client is an idea that really can create enough of a light bulb moment that it switches the trajectory of how you approach your business. So really, really great takeaway. Ronan, we hope to see you at the Phil in May if you can make it. And always love spending time with you. So guys, let's give him a virtual shout out here one more time.
Thanks very much.
All right, so this is going to be the end of Light Bulb Moments. I did want to thank Lightheart Sanders, who's a sponsor of this, and let you know we are on next week. We've got some great guests next week, a whole different topic here, and it'll be announced beginning of next week. So tune in next week. We are definitely on the next 3 weeks, and we've got some great episodes coming. So send a note in the comments. I'm going to stick around in a moment if there's anything I need to read, but for the rest of you, we'll let you get on with your day. And for those of you that are listening to the recorded version of this, thanks very much, and put some comments and let us know what you learned today. Take care, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Have a great week.